the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our township meeting. It is for June 24th, 2024. In attendance tonight, we have Supervisor Erler, Supervisor Ekman, Supervisor Albert, and Supervisor Friedman. I am Supervisor Birmingham, so we do have a quorum for tonight's meeting. The agendas are on the podium. If anybody needs a copy of tonight's agenda. Have all the supervisors seen tonight's agenda?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now open it up for public comment. You'll have 3 minutes. Your 3 minutes will be kept by this timer. When the buzzer goes off, I ask you to finish up your thought and or end your public comment at that time. We also have a second public comment under Roman numeral 7. So you can come up during both public comments. You can pick and choose which one. Or, under the First Amendment, you have a right not to say anything at all. With that being said, I'll open it up for public comment. Anybody want to make a comment at this time? Mike. And just need your name and address and tell us why you're a Los Angeles Dodgers fan. I'm just kidding.
I've been a Dodger fan since I'm 7 years old.
Good for you.
We used to root against the Yankees, go to Yankee Stadium and root against the Yankees when I was a kid. Anyway, the name is Michael Onufrak. I live on Summerfield Drive in Mount Bethel.
Thanks.
It has nothing to do with the agenda. About 2 weeks ago, I spoke to Nick about 2 traffic safety issues that I thought. One having to do with visibility, couldn't see side road, and the other one had to do with a stop sign that as you came around a curve, there was a stop sign. And if you didn't remember it was there, it was easy to blow right through it. I asked Nick if he would take a look at it. Not only did he take a look at it, but he had the guys put a stop ahead sign so it gives you a fair warning that you're going to stop pretty soon. And the other incident had to do with cutting grass, overgrowth you couldn't see. He had the guys do it. I happened to be coming home when they were still there. They had just finished doing it. So I made sure I stopped and thanked them for doing it. But I want to put a public comment that thank Nick and his crew for being so efficient and so quick to get it done.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, guys. Anyone else? Public comment.
I gave him $20.
What's that?
I gave him $20.
Nick said he'll pay you the $20 for that comment. Yeah, Ron, you got a comment? You just need your name and address, Ron.
Ron Angle, $52 million highway. Been there for quite some time. A couple comments. One is, I could be wrong, give or take a couple percentage points, but your legal bill for your special counsel alternate solicitor has got to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $15,000. I could be wrong. I don't think I'm too far wrong, probably. So I added this up at $160 an hour, and somehow it would come out that we paid for 93 hours. So I'll even that off to 90 hours. I know he attends the zoning hearing board meetings where they already have a solicitor, and I guess he's there representing the board of supervisors, although I'm not so sure I know why. And I guess the other issue he's working on is with the authority. So I'd be curious to know, when he submits the bills, does he break down the bills, what part is for the zoning hearing board and what part's for the authority?
Nick?
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what part would be the zoning hearing board and what part the authority? Just rough idea.
It's pretty much half.
Half and half?
Half and half, yeah.
So
I don't know
we're
the exact
so then
numbers, but
So am I in the ballpark with 15,000, somewhere's in there?
Almost.
Yeah, that's a good guess. It was only a guess on my
Yeah.
part.
I don't have the, like I said, I don't have the exact numbers, but it's approximately that.
So that would be 90 hours. So you've now spent $7,500, give or take, of our tax money on an attorney to go to the zoning hearing board meetings, and I'm not so sure what you're doing there, because frankly, they have their own solicitor. But I guess what you're doing is trying to be an obstacle to the zoning hearing board. I find that very bizarre. Let me get to the next one. I'm glad to see the Liquor Control Board, you're going to pass your resolution tonight, or ordinance, or whatever it happens to be, which is very nice. The sad part is you caused a local businessman a delay in his project, a man who pays a great deal in taxes, and again, you spent money on that, I guess, with our solicitor, and I'm not so sure why. The other thing was there was a town meeting here, and I attended part of it, and the only thing I could get out of it was, I guess you were saying that you wanted to put some type of a tax or a fee, something like Easy Pass or whatever it might be, on 6 and 11 and 512 for any trucks that use it. Did I get that out of that, or was I wrong?
I don't know if we actually talked about that. I mean, we're open to any ideas.
But that's what I got out of it. Okay, so I wasn't too far wrong. And my last thing is I see on the agenda, and I'm going to fall within my 3 minutes, Mr. Erler has on about putting a thing on 512 and 611. First of all, it's Village Center. Number two, in the trucking industry, it's called Jake Breaks. You got to wonder whether you can do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll give my 7 seconds to somebody else.
Anybody else? Public comment? Okay, moving on. We have executive session where we have a legal issue, a contractual issue that we're discussing. So we will return and we'll let you know the outcome out of executive session. Stay patient. It shouldn't be too long. In the meantime, Dave Constable will come up and sing some karaoke songs and tell you some jokes. So we're going to go into executive session, and it is 7:08. Check. Okay, we'll call this meeting back into order. It's 7:22 PM. We went into executive session. We had a contract dealing with personnel issue that we had to discuss. And is there any motion to be made out of executive session?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 4-year Teamster contract with our road personnel.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion among the supervisors? I'm sorry? Wait, there's too many people talking.
She said he couldn't.
Oh,
Motion?
repeat the motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 4-year Teamster contract for our road personnel.
Okay. And Supervisor Ekman seconded the motion, and now I'll open it for discussion. Okay. All those in favor of the motion to approve the agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mark, for coming out. Yeah, we could sign it.
He's gonna sing and dance up before he starts.
Oof.
I have two copies, one for the township and one for me.
Okay.
The only thing is Lindsay's not here to sign, but I'll just leave it here.
Yeah.
They're the same thing.
Usually something like this.
Right here.
Yeah, just you, Dave, and John and Court. She's the secretary.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, give them both to Cindy, because Lynn's got to sign. Do you sign it, Mark? Okay.
So just give them back to you.
Yes, yes. Dave, you sticking around for the meeting? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
It wasn't my party. I was just a venue. It was my son's.
Mark, good seeing you as always.
It was my
Thank
son
you.
and his daughter.
Sir?
Hey,
All right.
big guy, what are you doing?
Thank you for all you
You're out
do.
of uniform here today. Every time I see you, you're all nice suit, tie, and everything. Of course, that's when we go to court and he beats me up. All right, you're forgiven. Right.
See you, Mark. Okay, moving on. Tara has come to speak to us tonight about the I-80 611 update. Tara, if you can use the podium right up front there, that would be great. And just make sure you're talking to the mic so our people listening to the meeting from home can hear you.
Hello, people from home. Good evening. Yes, my name is Tara Mezzanotte. I live in Knowlton Township, but I am here tonight representing you guys as your PennDOT and NJDOT liaison. The reason I asked to be on the agenda tonight is there have been significant information has come forth that I wanted to share with you guys. First and foremost, the Monroe County MPO, like your Lehigh Valley Planning Commission planning study, the one for Monroe County, which is the 611 from Point of Gap to the Delaware Water Gap, where the road has failed and is closed, that MPO is called the Northeastern Pennsylvania Alliance, NEPA Alliance. So, working with Smithfield Township, knowing that they had a comment period for their transportation improvement plan, we drafted a resolution, and that resolution was asking for two things of their MPO, and that was number one, to prioritize the road work that is scheduled for 2028, 611 road work, prioritize the road work in the current TIP, which is 2025 to 2028, which is now, instead of it being out there waiting. So fund the project. It was the road, it was the retaining wall work, rebuilding the retaining wall, and knowing that they were going to have this phase 2 of the disaster we have right now. The disaster we have right now is the emergency work in order to open one lane. But when they get that done, then they're going to move on to the planned project, which is rock fall mitigation, rock slope mitigation. So Smithfield Township asked their MPO to prioritize projects that were already, one project that was already in the TIP, and another one they knew was coming, which was that rock slope mitigation, and asked for them to initiate a study of their corridor. Their road failed first, so I met with NEPA Alliance and said, of the 3 MPOs, Jersey is I-80, Lehigh Valley Planning Commission is 611 up to Point of Gap, and NEPA is Point of Gap to Delaware Water Gap. Since theirs failed first, maybe it's up to them to say, okay, we're the ones that should be doing a study of potential long-term solutions and a transportation study first. So that went in, and they did. It's in the TIP. What of that action was helpful, we won't know. But I think, what we've been doing all this time over the years is just taking every action possible so that best outcomes can happen, recognizing that nothing is great here going on in the Delaware Water Gap. So the letter came back that, in fact, they are funded. So we now have 2 611 projects that were going to happen later when they got funding that are now going to be funded. So they'll happen sooner, and they'll happen right after they deal with the emergency situation. So what I foresee, if all goes well, the best case scenario, once PennDOT and National Park Service finish quibbling over how much rock can be removed from that slope to be given the special use permit, the letter indicated that the construction will take 6 to 8 weeks. If that was a typo or a mistake, that's one thing, but it clearly said the plan would take 6 to 8 weeks with the goal to then open a single lane. That is different.
Tara, when is that going to start?
There is no when is it going to start. Nobody's ready to talk about that, because nobody from PennDOT or National Park Service is ready to say that they finalized the details on what's necessary for this special use permit. But that letter gave enough to glean what's going on here, and what they did is they've avoided a National Environmental Policy Act, a NEPA environmental review. So there is not going to be an environmental assessment or an environmental impact statement for that emergency work. They definitely, that letter was clear that they've already figured out that they're not, it's not as extensive to trigger that level of review. So that means once they get that permit, they can pretty much start. And when they do start, It used to be 3 to 6 months. I was pretty excited to see in this letter, it said 6 to 8 weeks. So again, unless it's a mistake in that letter, it's shorter. But as I said to you last time, it's not like really great news. We get all excited because there's movement, but one lane with a light at each end is wonderful if you're traveling at night, but it's really going to be a problem when there's situations that we're accustomed to on 80 and whatnot. But it shows that there's movement, and that part is good. And the fact that these other projects got funded is huge, because they don't get funded again for another 2 years. This is like a 2-year window to get them funded in the transportation improvement plan. Questions on that?
No, are you looking for a resolution, something similar to Portland's?
Something similar to Smithfield's, yes. So do I have Portland on here? I hope I don't.
I have the one here
So
from Portland.
so to lead into that, so what we did is, I didn't realize until Thursday. On Thursday, the state put out and opened up a comment period for the statewide transportation plan. So that means we have opportunity to comment on the statewide transportation plan that is being finalized now for 2025 to 2028, where that Monroe County section with those projects I just mentioned are listed as projects in this plan. What's not in this plan, and that's why I ripped out this resolution today, is what's not in this plan. As a matter of fact, since I sprung this on you today, should I read these points? What do you want me to do with this right now for you guys and the benefit of the public? How do you want to handle it?
I think if you read the points from the resolution so the public knows exactly if we decide to support this resolution or not. All the supervisors have a copy of it. I don't know if they've all had a chance to review yet, since it was just given to us today, but go ahead and read the points, please.
Okay. So it's a resolution requesting the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and the Lehigh Valley Transportation Study, that's what we call the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, prioritize 611 improvements between Portland to Point of Gap concurrently with the Delaware Water Gap 611 projects. And I'm just going to start one whereas, and I'll just read the points. The Department of Transportation owns the right-of-way for 611 between Portland and Delaware Water Gap Borough, which travels through the municipality of Portland Borough, Upper Mount Bethel Township, Delaware Water Gap Borough, and Northampton and Monroe counties, and becomes the preferred detour route when there is construction crashes or other traffic-creating incidents on the New Jersey I-80 segment of the I-80 611 Delaware Water Gap corridor. And the I-80 PA 611 Delaware Water Gap corridor connects local communities, and the region depends on all lanes of this corridor being open, safe, and free-flowing. And the fire and emergency medical services serve multiple municipalities in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and the Delaware Water Gap area, and rely on the I-80 611 Delaware Water Gap corridor for quick incident response and access to nearest emergency rooms. And due to the local community dependence on I-80 611 Delaware corridor, as evidenced by the over 55,000 daily vehicle trips, the 611 closure, construction, or crashes results in potentially life-threatening delays in emergency services incidents, response time, and negatively impacts businesses, employment, and lifestyles of the local community and region. And PA 611 has been closed in both directions since December 2022 due to a rock slide, and is closed indefinitely while PennDOT and the National Park Service collaborate on mitigation plans as required by the National Environmental Policy Act, Threatened and Endangered Species Act, National Historic Preservation Act, and other laws and regulations due to the project being located in the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area next to the Middle Delaware National Wild and Scenic River, in the viewshed of the Appalachian National Scenic Trail, and on land sacred to multiple federally recognized Lenape tribal nations. And The current understanding is that once the National Park Service issues the special use permit, construction will take 6 to 8 weeks with the objective to open one lane upon completion with plans for Phase 2 rock slope mitigation, while plans for Phase 2 rock slope mitigation are developed. And whereas PennDOT has 3 PA 611 Monroe County Point of Gap to Smithfield Township projects to be funded in the 2025 to 2028 Transportation Improvement Plan, and then I list the IDs. One's called the 611 Retaining Wall Rehab, one's called Retaining Wall Repairs, and the third is Rock Slope Mitigation Phase 2. Whereas transportation planning initiatives and funding decisions for Northampton County segment of the I-8611 Delaware Water Gap Corridor, Portland to Point of Gap, is under the purview of the Lehigh Valley Transportation Study as the PennDOT designated Metropolitan Planning Organization for Lehigh and Northampton counties. And there are visible cracks and dips on PA 611 between Portland and Point of Gap, most severe along the retaining wall edge between Slateford and Point of Gap. And it appears the retaining wall was built as part of the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad in the early 1900s and may be the same condition as the retaining wall that is being rehabilitated and replaced in the Delaware Water Gap. And the Lehigh Valley Transportation Study Long-Range Transportation Plan identifies the 611 Betterment Project improvements from the Monroe County line to Hester Street, that's in Portland, in the 2024-2050 plan with no date and unmet needs. That means it's unfunded and it's not in the schedule. And final comment for the draft statewide transportation improvement plan closes on July 3rd, 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Upper Mount Bethel Township that the board requests the following from PennDOT and the Lehigh Valley Transportation Study. 1, raise the PA 611 Betterment Project improvements from Monroe County line to Hester Street to the highest priority with funding in the 2025-2028 Transportation Improvement Plan. Include PA 611 Portland to Point of Gap in the 611 Delaware Water Gap Transportation Study scheduled for 2025 and 26 to identify all safety, mobility, congestion, and infrastructure issues so long-term solutions can be designed and considered. And 3, accept this resolution as the township's draft tip comment and send it to the following blah, blah, blah. 2 things on here I want to point out that were new that I haven't talked about. If a project's not in a transportation plan, it's very hard to get a project in. That's a years-long process of identifying transportation issues in their jurisdiction. The fact that this betterment plan already existed, just like 611 Point of Gap to Delaware Water Gap existed in Monroe County's tip, the fact that this is here means they can change the priority of it. So what you're doing is you're asking them to raise that to a higher priority so that while they're doing all the work that they will be doing, it's not that this isn't like you stop a project, it's not going to happen. They will be doing major work that hasn't really been talked about yet between Point of Gap and the Delaware Water Gap. I don't know, think lane closures, think road closures, who knows what, but it's going to happen and it's going to be multi-year. While they're doing that, you're asking them to concurrently address the condition of 611 Portland to Delaware Water Gap so that at the end of all of this, we're not waiting for them to start a project, Portland to Point of Gap. We have a sound roadway, Portland, into the village of the Delaware Water Gap. And the second one that was kind of new, I think that was it.
Okay. So I'm assuming what we would do is pass this resolution the way it is, the way you just read it, The supervisors have it. When do you need this resolution by?
Well, so here's what happens. It closes on the 3rd. I didn't take a look at your calendar to see if you meet between now and then. If you do it now, I share it on social media, and I add to the encouragement for everybody to be commenting. It's helpful if you do it now because I can do more with it.
And you need it by July 3rd.
Yes. Did
Yeah.
I say the wrong month? Yeah. July 3rd is the close date for it.
Ron, can we vote on this resolution tonight? Or do we have to advertise it and call a special meeting to get it in before the 3rd?
You don't necessarily have to advertise it because it's a resolution as opposed to an ordinance. It is not on the agenda, however, let's look at the exceptions here as to when you can put something on.
If there's some kind of,
So it's either would be
Emergent-
considered emergency business
yeah,
or de minimis business, that meaning minor business not involving fund expenditures or entering into a contract, or de minimis business raised by a resident or taxpayer that doesn't involve the fund expenditure or entering into a contract. So it would be really, 1, the emergency business, or 2, the de minimis business not involving fund expenditures or entering into a contract. So, I mean, if all of it you're doing is saying we approve of this process and how it goes on, you're not costing the township any money, you're not entering into any contract, and if we consider it an emergency in as much as Route 611 has been down for a while, and the quicker we can get that up and running, the better, you probably can fly with it.
yeah, I would definitely label this an emergency. There's no doubt about it. Okay. Are there any questions from the supervisors? Questions or concerns? Yeah, all right, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we pass this resolution that Tara Mezzanotte has read before us tonight. Cindy, do you know the next number? To be, the resolution number will be the next number in order. But I go ahead and make that motion that we move forward with this and pass the resolution requesting the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and the Lehigh Valley Transportation Study and prioritize 611 improvements between Portland to Point of Gap concurrently with the Delaware Water Gap 611 projects. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think it'll be, we already have, the next one here is 11, so this will probably be 12.
We have a 13.
Okay, to be determined? Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Tara, Cindy will have the resolution as soon as the supervisors can sign it.
No, I didn't. I didn't form that for you. So we'll catch up with you tomorrow on that. Yeah, I saw it, and I can fix a minor typo, right? Administrative
Yeah,
typo.
yeah. Yeah, and who needs to sign it?
Normally, the board signs it, but it can be signed by you and then just certified by the supervisor secretary that this is an official resolution adopted this blank day of blank at a duly advertised meeting and placed in the official resolution book, etc. Could do it that way either, but it's either you or everyone, or you and the supervisor secretary.
Yeah. Okay, can we all sign it by Friday? Did everybody get a chance to get down to the township building by Friday?
We can make sure everybody signs it.
Okay, so why don't you, Tara, come by either Friday afternoon or Monday, and it'll be signed for you, ready to go.
I got your number.
Thank you for everything
Thank
you
you very
do,
much.
Tara. Thank
Yes,
you.
good night.
Good night. Former Supervisor Teal, you're up. Postal delivery.
First, I want to thank you, the board, for allowing me to speak tonight rather than just on public comment, because public comment is not a question and answer period. It's just merely public comment. What I have to talk to you about is very serious. My wife, as you know, sometimes if you have a wife, are very tenacious about things. My wife follows the streaming of this board every week. And one of the reasons she likes listening to Mr. Engel, who she says speaks the truth. And she likes that. So nevertheless, she heard Fran talk about crossing 611 and risking her life to get her mail. And she reached over to me at night and said, "You have to do something." I said, "Anita, what can I really do? I'm one person." Then I started thinking, you can do something, and I can help you do that. So I went to the post office, and I asked them, why are the mailboxes for every resident, or a lot of residents, not everyone, on the other side of the street? That doesn't make any sense to me, especially when the mailman delivery goes down one side, comes up the other. Why are you doing that to people? They're crossing a major highway, risking their life to get their mail. I'm thinking that, this is summertime. It's late. People coming home from work, they're still in the daylight. But as the days wane and the darkness comes, we have a lot of people rushing to get home, and they're not seeing so well. And the people going to get their mail, they're not seeing very well, especially our senior citizens. They're at risk. And she specifically pointed out Fran, and I started thinking about Fran crossing the road, and one night I'm going home, and I see her struggling to get over 611. And that's wrong. That's wrong. So I'm asking this of the board. You are a very intelligent board. You can draft a letter, and John, I reach out to you because you're great friends with Susan Wild, and the U.S. Congress, I just looked it up, actually formed the post office. She should have some type of pool to have the post office demand that mailboxes be put on the side where the property is, not across the street. I even have this on Allegheny Road. I have seniors down Allegheny Road that have to cross the street to get their mail. It's the old story about the chicken crossing the street. Well, it's not really fun. And we lost, a couple of years ago, we lost Mr. Miller because he went across the street on 512, and 3 cars hit that man before they even knew it. And they killed him. Do we really need to lose one more citizen? You know what the truck traffic is here. You know what the car traffic is. It's not going to get any better. No matter what you think of anything else coming in, it's just not going to get any better. So we have to do something. I need you to organize a letter, a strong letter, asking our congressperson, whoever it turns out to be, right now it's Susan Wild, to help us convince the post office to make it mandatory. And they say the post office is the one who tells you where it's going to be. I'd like to have them told me that I had to put my mailbox on the other side of the road. I don't think that would have flown very well, and I would have told them what to do with their mailbox. It wants to be in front of your house. They say, well, it's going to cost us a lot of extra money. When did this government really need to save more money? They spend money like drunken sailors, but we need to protect our citizens. Please help me do that. Send a letter to Congresswoman Weil. Send another letter to the DEP. You're going to love that. And try to do something. Mr. Karzak helped us a while back, but we really didn't do much with those truck traffic about the dump trucks coming to town. I have another way of going about it. Make it even with New Jersey. Ask the DEP to raise their regulations so that it's equal with New Jersey and New York. They will stop coming because it won't be economical for them to truck dirty dirt all the way from where. We don't want it more restrictive. Just make it even. That's what you can do with the dump trucks. And I understand that the state police were down there today pulling over dump trucks, and but that isn't every day. We don't have a police force, and they know that. And they wire ahead. They all got CBs. They say, there's the cops. So they don't come for a while till they go away. But those are some of the things that I can help suggest that might help save people like Fran, save seniors, save young people, just by going for their mail. So that's what I wanted to come and talk to you tonight. Thank you very much for listening to me. I think you should really seriously think about this. How can you help save people's lives? It's all about safety, health, and welfare. Has nothing to do with anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. And Nick, put that, make a note that you and I are going to talk. I have an idea about the post office. Yeah.
Remember the vote.
Okay, moving on. Roman numeral 5.
Banger covers.
Feasibility Study Act 537 plan. The reason this is on the agenda was to decide what we want to do with this, how we want to move forward. It's open for discussion, so I will open the floor now to the supervisors on your thoughts, and if you have any concerns on feasibility study and the Act 537 plan.
Mr. Chair, since our engineer isn't here tonight to answer any pertinent questions, I'll make a motion to table this so we can have him on hand.
Okay, is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any discussion?
This has been tabled for a long time, Mr. Chair. I think maybe we should start getting on the right foot and at least starting the study. I do understand since Mr. Coyle isn't here, we can't ask him the questions, but to at least start the process moving forward.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Nay.
Any opposed? 4-1. For approve the motion, Supervisor Erler was against the motion. Next up is Resolution 2024-11, liquor license transfer.
Thank you, Mr.
Ron.
Chair. This matter is on because the board may recall that its earlier oral motion to deny the transfer of the liquor license has resulted in a lawsuit being filed against the township by the applicant alleging constitutional and other violations of the law with respect to this matter. After that lawsuit was filed, I was charged with speaking with the two lawyers for the applicant and seeing if there would be a way that we could resolve this matter. And the resolution that I was able to reach with the council is that the resolution now includes the following language: that there must be adequate security measures in place as per the rules, regulations, and standards of the PA Liquor Control Board. That language about security measures being in place and that they were being adequate security measures were not in the prior resolution. So as far as I'm concerned, I have resolved this matter as per the directions of this board. The resolution is in front of you for adoption, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Ron, so we have the resolution here. We've asked Penn Jersey Food Mart to follow certain requirements, as you just stated. What if we find out, or we get information that Penn Jersey Food Mart is not following the requirements as stated in the resolution?
You would do the same as you would do with any other situation. For example, let's just use a beer distributor, and you find out that the beer distributor is distributing beer to individuals under 21 years of age, or they're allowing people who are over 21 years of age to buy beer for minors or people who are under 21 years of age. You technically can't do anything because alcohol is one of the few items that are held by other government agencies, but you can report to the PA Liquor Control Board that we've been getting reports and complaints about people saying that this organization or this company is selling beer to individuals who should not be getting them. It would be the same thing here. If you get reports and you find out with, decent and credible reports, all right, not people who are just want to create an issue, but credible reports that they are not following the Liquor Control Board regulation, Liquor Control Board will go right out there and give them a hard time. I mean, if you recall, that's what was occurring with the Hillside Bar on 611 2-3 years ago, where the Liquor Control Board was going out there all the time giving them a hard time, and they came in here saying, please give us some relief. Get the Liquor Control Board off our back, and we want you, the township, to control how these issues work. And the township supervisors, probably against my better judgment or opinion, said, okay, we'll do that. So that's what you do. You report them just as if you see someone committing a crime or robbing somebody or whatever. You report it to the authorities, and hopefully they will do what they need to do.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Do we have a motion to pass resolution number 2024-11, approving a transfer of restaurant liquor license R54396 to the Penn Jersey Food Mart of Upper Mount Bethel Township?
So moved.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next up is engine retardation restriction signs. Supervisor Erler.
This was based off of the meeting that we had about the truck traffic, and as I'm to understand it, a study was performed, and we were approved for the engine brake signs. So I will make a motion that we post those signs on the selected areas of Route 611, unless Mr. Graziano has anything to say.
Yeah, we can't post the sign that we were approved as long as we have an ordinance. We don't have an ordinance yet, so we can't we don't have a permit for the signs yet. The study was done in 2022, and what happened was I gave that document from the engineer from Section 5 that approved the signs being there, but they do not issue a permit until we have an ordinance. It fell into a hole, so I don't know if Ron has any information on that.
I don't have any information on it, but if you give me the study that was done that supports the signed implementation, along with the streets or the places where the signs are to be done, I can certainly have an ordinance in place for next month.
I'm just waiting for, it's been a week, I'm waiting for Chad to get back to me to say that study still is in effect.
Oh, okay.
That's all, the only thing that I'm waiting for. Once that is
Right.
approved, then I was going to bring it to the board. But as of today, I still have not He did call me, and we're playing phone tag now. It's his. I tagged him now. It's his turn. So I sent them an email. I'm just waiting for that.
Okay.
Nothing has changed where those signs are supposed to go, but you never know.
Okay,
So-
well, as long as the board is aware that obviously before it can enact its own motor vehicle limitations, such as weight limits or speed limits or things like that, there has to be an engineering and traffic study done
Right.
to support that. So if this engineering and traffic study is the correct one, and I don't mean that in a bad way, and it's still in effect, then again, send it over to me, give me the information as to where these things go, and I can get an ordinance done for next month or however long it takes. Since this is a standalone ordinance, all I would need would be to advertise no later than 7 days before the board would act.
Okay.
So I'll withdraw my motion and table this.
Before you do that, Supervisor Erler, what I wanted to throw out there is that maybe you withdraw your first motion, but your next motion, it seems like you want to go forward with this. So maybe make a motion to have Ron go forward with putting all these steps and getting an ordinance in place.
I believe if Supervisor Erler would want to move forward, he can make a motion directing that, provided the engineering and traffic study is still in effect, that I would then be charged with preparing an ordinance for adoption by the board.
Yeah, that's what I think you're looking for.
So he can do that if he wishes.
All right, so I will make the motion that, given the study is still in effect, that Ron prepares, our solicitor prepares an ordinance, thus stating where it would be.
You can call me Ron. Okay. The old story is you can call me anything you want except
Late for dinner.
late for dinner. There you go. As you can
Do
tell,
we-
I don't miss many dinners.
Do we have a second for the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll open it up for discussion. Stevie, come on up.
Before Steve, I just have one question. Is this for 611 only? Maybe the half mile before the stop sign on 512 should also be in that zone?
I do believe that there are 3 spots on
Yeah,
611 as per
There's
the study.
only, I believe, 3 signs that are approved on 611, no other 512, or the study was for a specific area,
All right, thank you.
from Middle Village to around the fire department, not to be exact, but I have the map of it. But
Okay, thank you.
nothing to do with 512, sorry.
Go ahead, Steve.
Steve Ott, 360 Harvest Lane. Everything good, but who's going to enforce it? And not only that, I think PennDOT's got to have something to say about Route 611. We only had our portion of 611 from the beginning of our township, which is on Vaux Road, to Middle Village. Those are the only signs that this township road crew has to take care of and maintain. That was done when the speed limit was changed. That was the agreement that was made. I replaced every one of them, I know. We had to take the old PennDOT signs down and put ours in the place. We don't have nothing to say other than just those signs. I mean, I don't mind having it, but it's going to cost this township some money to do it all. Let's think it out first before we, I mean, I'm all for it, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to be legal and it's going to be able to be done. And we don't have nobody to enforce it. State police aren't going to enforce it. So what good is it? Thanks.
Thanks, Stevie. Charlie. Bob, you're right after Charlie.
Charles Cole, 6 Riverton Road. Our traffic committee looked into this, and we had conversations with PennDOT and also the state police over this. And I think putting up the signs is just one part of the thing. The other part is the enforcement bit. And we were told by the state police that they would not enforce Jake brakes or mechanical brake retarders. So I don't know what the ordinance will say, but as It's one thing to just put the signs up, which people will ignore after a while. It's another to put some teeth into it. And we were told that you need local police if you're going to enforce it. It's just like noise ordinance, which ties in with the mechanical brake retarders. That's only going to be enforced by somebody from the township. PennDOT and state police don't care.
Thank you, Charlie.
Robert Teal, 2424 North Delaware Drive. John, you remember early when I became a supervisor, we had PennDOT here. And there was a big to-do about the engine braking. And I said, down in Macungie, they have signs coming down the hill in Macungie on engine braking. And what did the guy from PennDOT, do you recall what he said?
I don't
We
remember.
cannot do that because we will be responsible if they have an accident and they can't use their engine braking. That was the excuse of what he told us then. What he told us then still holds true now. And what Charlie just said, as much as I don't agree with Charlie on many things, but he's right. There's nobody to enforce an ordinance. State police will not enforce an ordinance. No matter what you guys say or what you do, if you put up a sign on a state road, there's no teeth in it. There's nobody to say, hey, you broke the law. State police won't do that. Or as well as any other ordinance we have, your solicitor will tell you that. The state police will not enforce ordinances. And until you have a police force here, all the ordinances you want really fall upon Nick, who's the manager now. He used to be something else. Then he became the manager, or the zoning officer. That's what the ordinances do. Other than that, you're sunk. You can talk about all these things you want, but there's no teeth in it until you find something to grab a hold of that people really respect. And believe me, on 611, they don't respect much. And that's why we're so concerned about the post office boxes, because they're traveling crazy. Those dump trucks going to East Bangor are flying through this town. You know? I felt so bad when I saw Fran going to get her mail, for God's sakes. The simple thing in life. But if there's no teeth in it, you won't go anywhere.
Thank you, Bob. Any other discussion from the supervisors? Hold on, Ron.
Mr. Chair, I do believe that this is the first step into anything else that we might want to do going forward. We did the study. The study was approved. It's not a downward slope where engine braking is extremely beneficial to saving the brakes of a truck and the air system. So I do think that we should go through with this.
Okay. Any other supervisor comments? Ron, come on up.
Ron Angle, $52 million highway. You spend enormous amounts of money on legal bills, which maybe could be used for a police department, because everything was said here is absolutely correct. You can't enforce it. And as far as going down a hill, Mr. Erler, that's referring to Macungie. The bottom line is, if you used a Jake brake coming from 611 to make the right on the 512, if you weren't allowed to use the Jake brake and you caved in a car and killed 3 people, you guys would be responsible because you put up the signs. You can't put up signs that you can't enforce. That's the long and short of it. It's not complicated.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Can I make a comment, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair? So if anybody knows how a Jake brake works, the Jake brake is for braking, and it's actually for a decline. There is no decline there. The state approves it and gives you a permit, not us. We don't make the permits. They give us permission to put them up. And if it's not the best enforcement, but a sign is enforcement. So that's my statement.
Let's go.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
And one nay, 4-1. Supervisor Albert voted no. Okay, next up is the Berkheimer addendum to the agreement. Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is, Berkheimer approached Cindy and I about extending their contract, which we already approved, that they're already taking care of our garbage bills, and they want to extend it to 2029. It's a one-page addendum, so we already approved the contract, so this is just an addendum, just changing the date of the contract. The fee stays the same at $725, and there's a 3% increase over the duration of the contract. If mail goes up, costs go up, still the same as the contract that was approved. So they're just asking if they've been more than helpful. I know no one likes the tax man, but unfortunately we have to pay taxes, and they're doing a good job with the issues that we had with the garbage and everything, like, the issues in the beginning. We all got, it was hard for all of us. We got through it, but Berkheimer was always there for customer service, for us to, when people called us if they had issues, they were always there. So we're pleased with their customer service on our end. I know a lot of people are not. With the bills, it is what it is, but we all have garbage bills. We pay them. Some people don't pay them, but their service was really well for the last year that we had them for the garbage bills. So just recommending, if on our end, that we should just extend it. We need a service, and they provided a good service for us.
And how long has the term been amended for?
To 29.
2029.
From 25 to 29.
Okay.
So it ends January 1st, so it will continue to 2029. And I have it in writing that the 725 is not increased, but the 3%, which was approved in the contract that we have in place for other expenditures.
So fees haven't changed at all?
No, the fees won't change except they're 3% over the duration of the contract.
Yep.
Which is already in place in the contracts, so that's why it doesn't say it in the addendum.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a simple addendum to the agreement. Any questions from the supervisors?
I would really like to see us rebid this out. It felt like we kind of got stuck with this when Mr. Nelson put it forward and only got the one bid back.
Was Berkheimer
Yeah,
the only one who bid back?
There was no other bids because.
Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't the garbage contract.
no,
This
no.
is
No,
just
no.
collection?
Yeah.
Okay. All
This
right.
is just billing.
Yeah.
Got me nervous.
Yeah, no, the garbage contract, we'll definitely revisit that one.
Yeah.
But this is just the collection agency to get the residents who owe unpaid garbage bills to pay them. So,
Well, it'll be all, not just
They
the,
do the billing.
yeah.
and they do the billing
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, is there a motion to approve the addendum to the Berkheimer agreement?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? You got to come up to the podium, Ron, so people at home can hear you.
Ron Angle, $52 million highway. The delinquent bills, what's the total dollar figure of delinquent bills as of right now?
Ron, I got a pages.
Rough idea.
What do you think, Cindy?
How much?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, why do we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in delinquent garbage bills and we're not doing anything about it? And yet people have fixed incomes out here are paying the garbage bill, and yet there's people who haven't paid it in 10 years. And I understand some of those people are connected to the government here. This isn't fair to taxpayers. It really isn't. They're paying for something else that somebody else doesn't pay for. They're paying for their service. That's the long and short of it. No wonder we got money for it.
No, we do have, that. I mean, that's what Birkenheimer's doing. Yeah, come on up, Fran.
I work for an insurance company.
Just state your name, please.
Francis Fitzcarroll, 3001 North Delaware Drive, Mount Bethel, PA. Don't they put a lien on their property? Okay, so when they sell it, they have to give the town back the money, right?
Yes, if they sell the property.
Right, so the owner...
Some people do pay, like, some people will pay if they had a windfall or whatever.
Yeah.
But usually it's liens, and, Cindy gets, every quarter, there's checks that come from previous 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When Berkheimer wasn't
All right,
collected,
so-
it was the tax collector.
So it's all of us, you're not going to technically lose that money, but you have to wait until they sell their house or if they decide to pay the bill.
Hey, guys. How is Berkheimer doing?
With collecting?
Yeah.
As best as they could. This is an ongoing issue for years. It's not just, like I said, the tax collectors were collecting it prior to Berkheimer, and they had the same issues. It's not the collector, it's the people that are paying or live in the community that have a service that just don't pay.
Right.
What do you, it's up to the board to do something about that. We should, go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to say is...
You have to give your name, please.
Secretary Cindy Beck. This year they are sending out reminders. Hopefully that will help with at least this year. Last year they did not send out reminders, so they are going to do it this year. I just wanted to make that a...
So why don't we put this on the agenda and see how Berkheimer's doing.
We get that report every month.
We get.
Yeah, we get a report every month of what they're collecting.
Can we get a report of how much they've collected in the past year based off collection?
It's in your folder.
Right now?
Yeah. It's on.
Yeah, I always give it to you with my report.
Oh, it's in your report.
So up to, as of the first of the year, we've collected $639,460.
Where's that number?
I think you're looking at the budget, John. It's Dave has it, if you want to look where Dave.
Second page.
This is the report that we get every month.
Mr. Chair, you can also, if you wish, you don't have to make this a 4-year extension unless that's what Berkheimer is insisting on. You can make it a 2-year extension and then revisit it at 2 years to see how things are by way of collection, delinquencies, etc. So keep that in mind. Unless Berkheimer is insisting for a 4-year extension, you can make it less.
Yeah, I mean, I want to throw this out there for the supervisors. We have to figure out a way that they're actually doing their job in terms of getting people to pay who owe past monies. And if they're not, what are some additional ways we can?
Legally, yeah, that's a legal question for Ron, but they're doing the job that everybody's been doing for years. It's the same process. Put a lien, try to get them to collect, and then go on to a lien and file liens. And we do get checks. This year, for argument's sake, it's on. This is the. I think this is from this June. So. So right now we've collected over $600,000, and our bill from Berkheimer, from Waste Management, it's approximately 1.2. So
1.2,
we're halfway there, and I'm following the trends now, because now I have a trend. So in the beginning, the people get their bill, you get a big push in the beginning, everybody's, I got to get rid of that bill. But then on the other end, there's people that put it on their they put on their calendar, I'm paying this December 31st, I'm putting it on my refrigerator, and that's where you get people that might forget and goes into the following year, and that'll show up in the next year's income on our budget. But we're not, and we've caught up a little bit. That's all I could, say from previous years.
So, Chairman, just so you know, that Berkheimer collects just current year.
I'd say it again, I'm sorry.
Berkheimer only collects the current year.
Right.
And then anything that's not collected by the end of the year goes to the Credit Tech, and that's the collection
Agency.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, a good question.
Is that Marty? Yeah, come on up.
Marty Penner, 39 Lindsay Lane, Mount Bethel. I just want to remind everybody that may not remember that when we did do the garbage contract in the last administration, we did bring up that we wanted to bill the residents so that Waste Management would bill the residents so that the township was not the quote-unquote bank. And there was extreme pushback from the manager at that time, as well as some of the board members, that means that garbage would be just tossed all over the road. But yet, we're the ones being the bank. And if we all remember, and Jason should know this by looking at the financials, is at that time, we were just about, if not a little over, $300,000 in back garbage taxes. That went back 10 years. And I'm sure that trend is going to grow because of the increase that we had. People know all over the township, it doesn't matter if you pay your taxes or not, that the township or Waste Management will still pick it up. They can go to liens. Most of the lien holders, when I would check with Credit Tech, we are the third, fourth, or maybe even fifth lien holder on a majority of these properties. So if they were to sell the house, we'd maybe get pennies on the dollar on whatever they owe us. So it's a huge thing that we need to look forward in terms of getting this liability off the back of the township. Whether or not that's going to create people just throwing their garbage out on the sides of the road, I don't know. But unless we want to keep being the bank and continue to lose money, because that's what we do year after year about being the bank for Waste Management, it's going to get worse because, as you guys probably seen in the paper, Rosetto's went up more than double. And then I can't remember another one. It's $1,000 a month almost, or it went up to $1,000 this past week. This trend is not going to go down, so we need to look forward to it. Even when this garbage bill is up, it's going to be an increase, almost positively. So just to let you guys know. Thanks.
Thank you.
I have a question for the solicitor. Would it be legal for us to post the names of people that are past 2 years in delay?
I can't answer that question without checking some recent cases that have come down with respect to that issue. So I would have to say I don't know that at this time, but I could certainly review it and check it out if that is what the board would like me to do.
Yeah, I don't think it can hurt to do some research on it, and then the supervisors make a decision from there on what we want to do.
Hey, John, we did ask that the last time because we wanted to put those names in the paper, and Ron advised us not to do it because of the liability. So that's out. Now, maybe one of you guys can do it personally. Put in the right to know, put it in, and then you send it to the paper for them to call.
All right, so former Supervisor Pinter was just saying that we did look into this a while back, and and we were advised not to put the names in the paper due to potential liability.
And that may have since changed in some fashion. Unfortunately, the laws sometimes change as quick as, we change our T-shirts, if you will. But I will contact PSATs and ask, since the last time I've checked, is there anything new or different out there with respect to posting names?
Okay. Okay, so we still have, we didn't pass the motion to approve the agreement yet. We still have
No.
we haven't even made a motion. Oh, did we second it? Yeah, that's right. Okay, because then we opened it up for discussion. Hold on, Ron. Hold on. So, I think are you guys good with having this as a 4-year agreement? Because we're extending the term with them for 4 years.
I would prefer a 2. We can readdress this in 2 years.
Yeah, our garbage contract is up,
January.
next year, the end of 25. I would say go until the end of 25. That's just my thought, because if we're gonna
Do everything together.
do a new garbage contract, whether it be with Waste Management or someone else, maybe we revisit Berkheimer at that point. So we extend it until December 31st, 2025, and then we decide what we're going to do about a new garbage contract going forward. That's just an idea.
This is only.
Thoughts on that?
Are they making us do a 4-year?
This is only for the billing.
They're asking.
This is only for the
But
billing.
we can alter it.
It's only for the billing. Yeah, or we can keep it at 4 years.
True.
I just want to hear everybody's thoughts.
If in fact the feeling would be to make it a lesser than 4-year period, someone could make a motion to amend the motion on the floor, and that would take precedence then by way of the time.
Did you want to make a point, Ron? Ron, you're going to have to get a wireless mic. This way you don't have to keep walking up here.
Mr. Albert, I think, is making a very good point. It's only for 4 years for billing. That's all you're referring. I think the rest of you are losing track of what this is about. But again, I worked my way up through the ranks at PSATs, by the way, very involved. And I understand PSATs always advises on the... now, that's not caused a lot of problems. The long and short of it is, if you don't pay your taxes for 3 years, you will be in the paper, and people will get to see that. If you haven't paid your garbage bill, there's no reason that shouldn't be in the paper. Because, am I correct, Nick? There's people who haven't paid their garbage bill for 10 years? At least, right? So forget, like someone said out of the audience, I deal in real estate a little bit. You can put a lien. Chances are the guy who hasn't paid his garbage bill is, frankly, in my profession, we call him a deadbeat, okay? As a matter of fact, I think I spent a lot of time chasing deadbeats. I often wondered about that. But anyway, the bottom line is they probably have a mortgage, they probably have a home equity loan, and they probably have 5 judgments. That's not going to get you your money if it goes to sheriff's sale. But stick it in the paper. You're entitled to do that. If I don't pay my taxes, or if you don't, that'll go in the paper. But Mr. Albert's right. The 4 years is only to collect the bills. Has nothing to do with any of the other stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I'll make a motion to amend the motion on the floor to extend this until December 31st, 2025.
okay.
It's already,
Instead
that's
of-
when the contract ends.
I thought it ends on the January 1st.
No, it ends December 31st, 2025.
No, this one says the addendum goes from January 1st, 2025.
Yeah, it's going to go to 2029.
Yeah, so Jonathan is saying, make this addendum January
December.
1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025.
No, that's not.
Oh.
No, the current contract expires December 31st, 2025. What they're saying is the new contract, right, Nick, is January 1st through 29?
Yeah, they're changing the dates. The first contract that we signed will end
Right.
December 31st,
So
2025.
the new contract.
The new contract is going to start December 21st, 2025, and go to 2029.
That's
It changes.
confusing.
Yeah.
The extension says it begins January 1 of 2025. If the present contract is already good through December 31, 2025, and the board doesn't want to go beyond that date because they want to see progress, then this extension, this addendum doesn't even need to be signed, if that's the case.
Right.
They were asking for an extension.
I think we just revisit it at the end of 2025.
That's what they were asking for, so I presented to you. If you guys don't want to do
Okay.
it, that's up to you.
Okay. Jonathan, anything on your amended motion?
I'll rescind my amended motion. Motion to amend.
Okay, so now we go back to the original motion that it's a 4-year agreement
Yeah.
on the floor.
Fine.
Okay. So my thoughts are we just keep the current agreement and revisit it at the end of 2025.
Well,
But
you
the
wanna do it
motion on the
before
floor
that,
is
but-
to extend it until 2029, and it's been seconded. Right? Do I have that? All right, so there was a motion made on the floor to approve this addendum that extends the agreement for till the end of 2029. Then we came back and found out the current agreement goes to the end of 2025. So Supervisor Erler had a motion, and now he's taken that motion off the table. So it goes back to the original motion that approved this agreement until the end of 2029.
Right.
That's where we're at.
And if the board doesn't want to do that, then the vote is no.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, so if you want to extend the contract until the end of 2029, you'll vote yay or yes, and if you want to keep the current agreement in place only until the end of 2025, you vote no. Got it? Okay.
Who seconded it?
I said.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say no.
No.
Okay, so the motion fails. Three against, 2 for. If you don't like the vote, you can always go home. It's okay. Yeah, you can make another motion.
I am told the present election contract goes
What
to
would-
the end of next
for what?
year. So they don't want to change it. They just let it expire.
Okay. Cindy.
And then they'll look.
Oh, I'm sorry. For our next meeting, when that would be
I thought it expired later this year.
July 8th, Monday, July 8th, put on Berkheimer addendum to the agreement. And we'll see if we'll come up with anything new.
I'm just confused here, so what are we doing?
Okay, next up on the agenda is insurance company alternate solicitor. So, Ron, I wanted to bring this to your attention because, as you know, we did hire Gross McKinley as external counsel, but there's been comments and questions and concerns on whether we appointed Adrian Cousins as alternate solicitor and whether we need a motion to do that. Is there any sort of difference between external counsel and alternate solicitor?
I mean, Rose by any other name. If this is another lawyer that you have dealing with township business, then whether you call him an alternate solicitor or whether you call him outside counsel or something else, in my mind, doesn't matter. Now, I don't know if in insurance company's mind, the township insurance company or something, if that, is of a concern. But as far as I'm concerned, I would use him as, I would say as the alternate solicitor, because that's what he is. He's handling matters that I would normally handle, but in which I would otherwise have a potential conflict. And that be the end of it. I don't know what is the concern about how he is being named or called.
No, I don't see a concern either, but should we pass a motion to officially name him alternate solicitor, even though we already hired him as outside counsel?
Well, I thought that was done like some time ago.
Yeah, that's been done.
What?
Cindy is telling me that he's already been appointed as alternate solicitor.
Okay.
So.
Well, I was told that we weren't. That's why I threw it.
All right, well, whatever.
Okay. Then
You're
I'll
the
make-
boss. But if he's already been appointed, I don't see where you need to do this again.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we end this discussion and move on. It doesn't need to be seconded. Next up is Suburban Ambulance. So Suburban Ambulance had reached out to me. Basically, we had put in our budget for this year $25,000 to go to Suburban Ambulance. They came here and did a presentation not too long ago, asking for, I believe it was an additional $25,000. Yeah, $50,000 total. Suburban reached out to me and just asked where we were on this. They do know that we've allocated or budgeted $25,000 towards Suburban, but I wanted to bring it up on the agenda to see what the supervisor's thoughts are on paying out Suburban the $25,000 that we put in the budget, or do we want to go beyond that? What are your thoughts?
Well, since we're discussing an alternate ambulance service, I think that money could be well spent towards them if we go with them.
So at this time, would your thoughts be to hold off on the $25,000?
Yes.
Okay. Any other supervisor want to share thoughts, concerns?
I'd wait to see how we make out with the other townships, with meeting for another one.
Okay. Okay, there does not have to be action taken on this. Yeah, Fran.
If I remember rightly, we had something, I guess it was last year, talking about the ambulance and stuff, and that, we don't know what company's going to come if I call for an emergency. If they're busy other places, they're not going to come to our town, and they have to send another ambulance. So we're not guaranteed we're going to get that ambulance coming.
Yeah.
And I thought we had a meeting or something on that last year, and they discussed it.
And we have a community-wide meeting about ambulance coverage this Thursday. It is from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the Mount Bethel Firehouse.
And the ambulance will come, it's just a matter of when.
Right, but if you just go with say the one, that would be the priority one, but if they're not there, then it would have to be a secondary one. So why are we giving that money? We're going to have to pay for it anyway.
Right. That's what the discussion's for.
Okay.
Thanks, Fran. Okay, so we can just move on. There, no action taken on Suburban Ambulance. Next up, number 4 is well water testing. And I wanted to bring this up in speaking to residents is we obviously all know about the zoning hearing board meetings and the drip irrigation system. We don't know whether that's going to get approved or not get approved. We're waiting to see what the zoning hearing board does. but I wanted to bring it up regardless of, or if the zoning hearing board does approve the drip irrigation system, is for well water testing for those homes, in and around the Potomac Street area. Because that's the only way we're going to be able to understand if the well waters are being contaminated or not being contaminated, right? Is to get the testing done before the drip irrigation system goes in. So just wanted to get thoughts on that from my fellow supervisors.
No, I think it's a good idea. Then you have a base by which to establish any improprieties that might arise from the strip irrigation field.
And how do we go about that? I mean, how are we going to test?
Well, there's numerous ways. You can contact different water companies. There's different levels of testing you can have done. And there's also the one from Penn State that was available. And I think most of those, have we saw any of those left back there? Do we saw any of those there's a couple Penn State testing kits available. And they have a pretty thorough testing program, and also it's going to cost you a little money to get it done, depending on how far you want to go with it and everything else. But yeah, I highly recommend, even if you don't live around the RPL or any place, you should get your well water tested occasionally, just in case there is a future development or something around your residence. Then you have a baseline from which all the other testing can be done. You have something established that you have this in your water now. Because if something happens and you don't have prior water testing, you don't have anything to go by.
Yeah, Mark.
Mark Metzger, 114 Scenic Court. John, there's two aquifers that sit in that zone. There's a shallow aquifer, which is pretty much surrounded by the homes in the drip field area, and then there's a deep aquifer. We need to get testing from both sides because there's potential for water to contaminate the shallow aquifer, and there's also potential to contaminate the deep aquifer. If it gets to the deep aquifer, we've got serious issues.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, any other thoughts from the supervisor?
Charlie's got his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Charlie.
Is this included in the well water ordinance? Is this included in the well water ordinance?
Charles Cole, 6 Riverton Road. I think you need to decide the purpose of what this water testing is to do, and tied in with it is the legal validity of it. If you're setting up baseline testing, you need a chain of command on who takes the test, who follows through with it. There's a whole bunch of issues associated with the thing. I think setting up baseline testing around drip irrigation would be very, very important. I think a neighborhood committee should be set up, and to support the committee would be the township engineer and someone knowledgeable in water testing. And you need to use statistical judgment in the testing, as well as have the public input to make them comfortable of what the results are, and so that if it's ever contested, you can go back and say, yes, this is what we had, and it maybe should be done for 2 years before anything would happen. As far as the basic testing that is done in that Penn State kit, I think there's 2 kits back here left. I think they're still usable. It has, a cost of $65, plus you can mail it. It costs about $15. And if you can't find the kits back here, you can get them from Penn State Extension.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. Nick, let's talk more about that. I think reaching out to some water companies who can help and talk to us about it, that'd be a good start. Okay, next up is municipal building security. Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So Supervisor Friedman and I were looking into the equipment that we have currently at the township, and the previous company, Jeff Manzai's company, sold to Cooper. Dave Cooper he's been in the business for a long time. He took over for Jeff Manzai's company, and we had him come in and look at the equipment, and lo and behold, a lot of the equipment is not even certified to be in government agency. And so some of the codes, there's some code violations that go on and on. So needless to say, we have to replace it. And it's from the previous company. I don't know if there's any recourse. It's a legal issue, but apparently years ago the government said that you have to have NDAA equipment. We don't have any. So the equipment that we have here, most of it needs to be replaced. All of the access, as everybody can see, we have access over here that are similar to the rest of the building. They're not properly set up. So we need to replace them. It's not something that we could wait. There is on here at the bottom where it says there's a fire alarm system. We could plan for that for next year. But the other equipment needs to be replaced. I don't know if Supervisor Friedman has anything to add to that, but we had a long discussion with Mr. Cooper, very knowledgewer, and I did bid it out to get pricing, and he was lower than all the other three that we had, and seemed more professional and honest. So we decided to stick with him. Obviously, he's the lowest bid, but not just because he's the lowest bid, because of his experience, been in the business for 20 years.
What's the bid?
What's that?
What's the bid?
I didn't get there yet, Ron. I was going to get there. So the bid for Cooper, which is the lowest, is there's 4 cameras. He splits it into 2, where we have the cameras, and the second bid is for the access, key fobbing, things like that of that nature. So the first bid is $3,480. Is for a new recorder, new Cat 5 outdoor wiring, for all new outdoor cameras. We're going to replace the outdoor cameras into digital. The ones indoors are analog, which is fine because analog doesn't go Wi-Fi over the system, where you get into the problems of being hacked. And if Stavros wants to jump in on that, he's more prepped than I am on that. And then the other bid for the access is $5,250. So it's a total bid of $8,730. And then there's 2 fees that we could decide on, which we would need, as we had found out when we had hired 2 new employees, we had to give them access. The system was a debacle, and it took us hours to figure out how to get them access to this system. And by Dave Cooper coming in and his experts coming in, we figured it out. They figured it out, not we. They figured it out and got them on board. But that's when all this started tumbling and figuring out that, hey, there's problems here. So this is something that we need to do. And the other bids, I have copies of all the other bids. I don't want to bore you with all the different information, but they're way higher than Mr. Cooper. So I can give you, go ahead.
Did we had a camera system in here that according to this report, had 16 channel units with analog cameras that were banned.
There's some cameras that you can't have in the system, the NDA. If you go digital, they can't be used here. So a lot of the stuff was like bought on Amazon. Not from us, not us knowing that, but it was sold to us, but it's Chinese stuff that is against the law. Government, you're not, for your home it'd be fine, but here you can't have it.
And there was a program that the federal government would have bought the cameras back that we missed out on.
Did we have a contract in place at all?
We just have a monitoring contract, which so when you open the door and close the door, lock, and they call us. That's it. That's the only service we have with them. We don't have to go through him to get the service, but after speaking to the different contractors, like I give you an example, there's one here from Fox Brothers. The total investment was $11,800 for his system, and then the other were higher than that. So,
Ron, is there any legal recourse that you see here, or do we just let this go and move on?
Well, I would have to see exactly what paperwork might be presently in effect with respect to this project, along with reviewing the motions that were made at whatever meetings to determine what is what. I mean, you really need to have another IT person to come in and say that this should not have been given to the township, this was not right. And that's not meant to throw anyone under the bus, because these things, again, change very rapidly by way of how things work and the medias and the various things that are being used. So if you have someone, when I say you, if the township can get someone to say that this should not have been a program that should have been sold to the township, then you may have some recourse. The question then is how much? And if you're going to say it's going to be, we can save $2 or $3 grand, by the time you just get things filed and legal fees and costs and expenses, you burn up that money like in a heartbeat.
How long ago were these cameras installed? How long ago was the system put in that it's not correct?
the cameras here were here for a long time, and they weren't installed by him. They were long, but the cameras that are over at Eastern, those are new. Those are 2023. Those were installed by...
So the ones at Eastern aren't correct either?
No, those aren't. They're not NDAA certified. There's 4 of them over there. And those were $21,000. That's the whole issue that we had to go put into the open space.
And it's $27,000 for Eastern, right?
Yeah.
3 cameras, yeah.
And Supervisor Ekman makes a good point that if in fact these cameras were installed, say more than 4 years ago, there may be an issue with the statute of limitations, because most limitations on contract actions 4 years. Sometimes it can be 6, but I generally use 4 as a rule of thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So if the older cameras have been around and installed more than 4 years ago, I'm not sure if we even have a claim, because the statute may have run.
Yeah, so Nick, if we can get the answers for Ron of when the cameras were installed here. The cameras on Eastern were last year.
I believe 22. They paid him,
That probably falls in the statute, but get Ron that information and any paperwork that could help him, whether there's contracts or purchase orders or any type of authorization forms. Stavros.
All right, I have some questions. One, I want to know from Cooper what guidelines are following for acceptable governmental use and what funding it's based on. So I've researched this since I met with, because I met with Cooper Technologies as well. over the access controls, and we talked about some of the capabilities that the township already has that I installed to allow for cameras, because we also bought cameras for the park that are going to be deployed and installed. In my research, some of that qualification is based on where you get the money from, like a federal grant. Certain monies can't be used for certain equipment. That's one of the guidelines. So where it's manufactured, and I get the China stuff, same thing with DJI, same thing with drones, the Ubiquity equipment we have here, and I looked it up. I can't find anything that says it's not approved for governmental use, because then I was concerned about what we're putting up at the park, because technically those are government owned. All that's built in the U.S., their headquarters in the U.S., but yes, they manufacture parts in other countries, but so does Cisco. Cisco is one of the FBO.gov approved vendors for networking equipment. This township can't afford Cisco gear for what you have. So access controls I get. Now, the equipment I put in can also handle access controls plus cameras. The other thing I did is I standardized what you have here, Eastern, and the park. You have the equipment to support cameras, access controls, wireless security, and firewall in all 3 locations, all the same way. In terms of security, it's all multi-factor authentication. So whoever has it on their phone, your username and your password is one thing. You also have to have a 2-factor auth that changes every 60 seconds. The security of this township has been at the forefront. I sent some reports. You guys don't know. You're getting slammed. You've always gotten slammed. Your website, this building, even Eastern has started blocking countries. It's ridiculous. I get it. But if you deploy things properly and limit it to what you actually need, instead of wide open, you mitigate some of the security. I'd go back to asking, and I want to know what it's being based on. Is it based on funding, or is it being based on the technology? Because you're explaining a lot of money, right? The 12 cameras on this building, with the system you have in the back, you have to buy 12 cameras at $130 a piece. And you're done. They're all digital. There's no antiquated anything. All the stuff that's in the office back there, all that can get ripped out. I'm doing that at the park because that's what we bought. Those cameras, because it's the park, they're only $80 cameras. They're still 2K cameras. They still have night vision. We could still do a lot of things with them. And AI intelligence. It will tell you if it's a person, a car, or an animal. And then if we buy one upgraded camera, it will read license plates and send you an alert as soon as it detects motion. So what I typically do with my clients, and even in my professional career, is leverage what you own, if you can. If it comes back that it says, no, we can't use these things, okay, that's fine. But I haven't heard or found a reason why you can't use Ubiquity gear right now. Because, again, you own the brain. You just need the cameras. For access controls, and the gentleman who I spoke to is familiar with it, give me a reason why we can't use it. Give me the citing. If it's funding, if you guys do it out of the township's budget, technically it's not a federal grant. I don't have all the details, but I do know that. If it's based on funding, it may not be an issue. But the $27,000 for those 3 cameras at Eastern, the most expensive camera I'd sell you is a remote PTZ, which means a person sitting there watching, it's $1,800 a camera list. I don't know where these $9,000 cameras came from. Do you have a control that will move the camera remotely? Yeah. Just consider it. Don't spend money you don't have to spend.
There's other issues besides funding also. There's basic code violations that weren't followed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if a camera's put in, a camera by itself isn't creating a code violation.
No, it's the access. Two entirely separate things.
I know. If it's not installed properly, that's a totally different issue. So, listen, I'll discuss that. I don't know what those are yet, but from my point of view, leverage what we've already put in place, and it's standardized. So if you're going to look at the cameras at Eastern or here, in fact, if I just change the design a little bit, you go to one interface and you see the cameras at the park, Eastern, and the township building on one screen. One access, everything. Same reporting structure, same recording mechanism, and we can go back as far as you want, depending on how much drive space you want to use.
Right, but there are other issues which have been documented, so.
Okay. I'd like to know what they are, even if I could just provide insight.
But when you talk to that fellas of Star Wars, you guys were on the same page. You were talking about stuff over my head, but
I
know
understood.
he knows the equipment that we have here, and it sounded like he was going to interface with your stuff that you have.
Well, I haven't seen what they're proposing. That's fine. It's capable of doing it from a networking perspective. But if you're putting in another NVR, network video recorder, to support that system, when you already have one, and I say that because it's already at Eastern, we already bought it for Park, it's already installed here.
Right.
All three sites have the same capability right now.
He's replacing the recorder that's in the office. That's what he was
Right,
repla-
and putting
I don't think
cameras-
He's not getting into your.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying you have an NVR here already. Or you just have to get different cameras. It's a different way of using the system. Either way, it's fine. I'm just letting you know, you already own technology to allow for you to deploy cameras the same way. We already bought them for Park. We don't have them for Eastern yet, but we could get them. But the equipment's there that supports the cameras, right now. You already spent the money.
Here.
You already have it here, too. We just don't have the cameras here. The only cameras we bought were for Park,
Right.
which will hopefully be deployed soon.
What about the access equipment that we have? Excluding the,
I see the issue with the access control systems. Either way, that has to be upgraded. Honestly, I'd rather keep it separate. It's as an isolated system because it's building security, which also keeps my stuff safe. Plus, if the internet goes down or the power goes out, we already know that the generator failed a few times. I've already had UPS failures and surges and systems go down hard. I don't want that to happen to an access control system. The video system, there is battery backup. We could beef it up, but if the generator dies, I only get battery for like 7 minutes here.
right.
We need a much bigger, again, it's a bigger discussion, but, I'd have to tell you what you have because it is something that should be
Why
considered.
don't we get you back in touch with Cooper and
That's fine.
and work with him and figure this
Yeah.
out?
That's fine.
What
But
about
it-
the new camera that was placed in the municipal, where we used to have the meetings?
That was disconnected today.
That was disconnected
Yeah.
today? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you also remove the Ring doorbell?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, so Nick, we have to get Ron paperwork and to see what was put in here incorrectly, see if we have any kind of recourse. Stavros will talk to this Cooper company where you guys are going to determine what's actually needed and what is not needed. And
It's
and then-
needed. It's all needed. I think it's
Yeah.
best course of action.
Yeah.
Especially if it saves the township money.
Yeah, exactly. So Cindy, if we could put this on the July 8th meeting, let's just get an update on where we're at with
So
everything. And-
just to be clear, the access equipment that we have, the only thing that was replaced was one unit that's inside the walkway, entranceway, and it was just overpriced. That's what the problem was with that. It wasn't installed properly, and it was overpriced. And a unit that Star Wars knows better than I, that unit I was just talking about, what Cindy has to get everybody, get them a key fob. I don't even know what you guys did back there, but it took them hours to figure this out. Because there's two different systems, I think.
It's actually still wrong. They didn't fix all of it.
Yeah, those are the two items that the prior company put in that are new. The rest of this equipment is very old. That, like Ron said, I think it's a 4-year window. But the other stuff was new. That's the only stuff on that end, because there was no other cameras installed except one that John was mentioning that was, I guess, a private camera for one person. So.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, the prior company didn't consult me when they started connecting things. They were responsible for one of your internet outages.
Yeah.
And then they connected things to switches without knowing what the port was configured for, causing other outages.
And
So
what was the name of that company?
I have no idea. All I know is I dealt with James.
Yeah, what was the name of
Well, you could let
Jeff's?
me know
Yeah, I'll let you know.
It's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
just,
Yeah.
but definitely send me invites. We'll get together and I'll talk. Definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to call him tomorrow, and then I'll get him in touch with you.
Okay.
Because we definitely have to do something.
Yeah, you do.
Right. So we're at least we're in agreement. But
Okay,
Stavros
thanks.
knows better than myself.
All right. Marty, did you want to make a point?
My only point was, he's your IT guy, he should run point on this. That was it, and you guys did it at the
Okay.
end.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's why we had him come in, Marty, talk to Cooper when he came, the new guy came in.
Okay, all right, moving on. We'll,
Thing for, or did you already, this is just open for
this-
discussion?
Yeah, it was
All
just
right,
discussion.
thank you.
Yeah.
There's no vote needed
I
or table.
think the
And
item
we've
we
got-
have to take care of Stavros.
And yeah, we've got it on the July 8th agenda for an update. So, moving on to Roman numeral number 7, public comment. 3 minutes. Anybody want to make a public comment? Yeah, Marty.
The only thing I wanted to make
Oh, hey,
is-
Marty, just name and address,
Marty
please.
Penner, 39 Lindsay Lane. In regards to the Jake brake ordinance, I'm lucky enough to have my Class A and Class B CDL, so I can drive a tractor trailer as well as a dump truck. By limiting a Jake brake, you are also taking away a number one safety piece of equipment from the driver. Running an 80,000-pound vehicle and somebody pulls out in front of you and you just hit the air brakes on that, you will lock up the brakes and you will probably overturn or flip that vehicle. The use of the Jake brake will actually drive, think of it almost as a engine anti-lock braking system. You will not lock the brakes up and you don't have to push the brake as hard, but you will stop quicker than you will with just the brakes. So I ask you all to think about that, where we're limiting a safety piece of equipment for drivers out there. That's all I want to say about that. And also there's the enforcement of that. I know I heard that while I was driving in, of it. You know, we don't have the police force, we don't have anything that we can do to enforce it, much like the speeding that's going on through, Middle Village and the other end, as well as 512. I mean, hell, if we had the ability, I'd love to put up a weigh station, or at least have somebody check the weights of the vehicles coming in here, because I'm sure they're well overloaded coming in just by seeing them running down the road. But just wanted to throw that out to you. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, Charlie.
Charles Cole, 6 Riverton Road. If you say no Jake brakes, that is something that maybe will initiate the truck driver thinking about maybe he should be going the speed limit to start out with, so he doesn't have to use a mechanical brake retarder to get slowed down so that he is less of a hazard. And maybe the township, with tongue-in-cheek, if they aren't going to have no mechanical brake retarders or no Jake brakes, are going to buy hearing protection for the people living in Middle Village and around 512. So everything's a trade-off in life. You can't just say, okay, it happens, can't do anything about it. I think we need to come up with more creative ways to protect the people in our villages. There's that old book that Thomas Hilton wrote, Save Our Countryside or Save Our Villages, and something like that, and you're destroying the villages by what we have going on 512, 611 right now.
Thank you, Charlie. Anyone else? Public comment? Ron?
Ron Angle, $52 million highway. I like numbers, because numbers, when you put them on paper, they don't change. And I think enough has been said about the Jake breaks, but I'm looking at the bills, the legal bills, and I'm looking at how you used to call him a special counsel. Now he was called something else, and now he's called a alternate solicitor. So I guess he's an alternate solicitor as of right now. But I'm looking at these hours. You had always said about the $160 an hour, which I thought was a bargain, quite frankly, in the legal world, except you got the biggest bargain at all at the end of the table because he lives here and gives a damn about the township, Ron Carside, at $135 an hour. He's probably worth $400 an hour. But he gives a shit about the township, to make a long story short. That's why he's here. But I added these numbers up. You have Gross McGinley, Mr. Cousins, attending the zoning hearing board meetings. I'm looking at 3 hours per meeting, because that's what they limit it to. 5 meetings, 15 hours. That's $2,400 of the $15,000 I'm looking at. So could you explain to me when the bills come, if that's the case, who looks at those bills? I presume Mr. Friedman's the office liaison. I would presume he looks at them. Are the billings itemized as to what those hours were spent on what issue? And again, you're hiring a special solicitor, or alternate whatever, to go to the zoning hearing board meetings. You already have a solicitor there representing the zoning hearing board. So it would appear to me you're spending the township money looking to fight something that you are looking down in the distance you might not even have to fight. This whole thing is getting kind of bizarre, but I keep looking, whether it's the Liquor Control Board, whether it's DEP, somehow you think, the 5 of you, or at least 4 of you, think you're some special body above the state government, or the federal government, or DEP, or many of these various things, the courts or whatever. You are some higher authority the way you operate here sometimes, but what you're doing is you're spending money, and money, and money, and money that frankly you don't have. And again, what are you paying Mr. Cousins, Gross McGinley, for? And I'll stop if you can just give me the answer to that one at 30 seconds. What are you paying him to do at the zoning hearing board meetings?
He is representing Upper Mount Bethel Township.
In what capacity? Well, we know that.
Well, he's representing Upper Mount Bethel Township.
In what capacity?
He's representing Upper Mount Bethel Township. He's there to protect the township's interests.
He's there to protect the township? Against who? Against itself? You already have a zoning hearing board and a solicitor to protect the township against itself?
Okay, thank you, Ron. I appreciate your comments.
I got to tell you, Mr. Birmingham, you do come up with some really good ones sometimes. Except in the real world, which most of us live in, they really don't fly. But
Thank you, Ron.
Again, 2,400 of the 15,000 went for there. You haven't explained where the rest of it. But your legal bills keep mounting up, quite frankly, and they're mounting up to fight stumping DEP, Liquor Control Board. You know, Liquor Control Board, the window dressing on that agreement, all the window dressing says is...
Yeah, your 3 minutes is up. Thanks, Ron. Judy, come on up.
Judith Henkel, 1752 Robin Hood Road. I thought public comment was comment. It wasn't a public debate. Secondly, maybe having public comment before and after isn't such a good idea after all. Public comment in the beginning was for the agenda. Public comment at the end is for something that didn't come up on that. Am I right? So to have somebody come up and give the same thing in the beginning and the end, maybe we need some regulations.
Thank you, Judy. Anyone else? Yeah, come on up.
Fred Clark, Crystal Terrace. I just want to thank all the current supervisors and the prior supervisors for coming in and having a good discussion. In other words, the former supervisors offered some interesting ideas and insights, and you guys welcomed that, and I want to thank everyone that was participating in that conversation. It's nice to hear a conversation for a change. So thank you all, those of you in the audience who know who you are, and thank you guys up there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Okay, let's move on to announcements. Supervisor Albert.
None at this time?
Supervisor Friedman.
Yes, the Well Ordinance Committee at their last meeting voted to approve their final draft of the well ordinance. It'll be going to the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission for review. It'll be going to our own Planning Commission for review, and it'll be going to the Township Solicitor and the Township Engineer for review. After those are done, then we'll have to go through the process of passing the well ordinance. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Erler.
Yes, I would like to hold some office hours at TK's July 2nd, which is a Tuesday at 7 p.m. for anyone that's available to make it.
July 2nd, 7 p.m.
Correct.
And you go all the way till last call, don't you?
Sometimes. If it's a good meeting, you know, we'll have a beer at the end. If it's a bad meeting, we'll have a shot. If it's a really good meeting, we'll have a beer and a shot.
All right, so that's July 2nd, 7 p.m. at TK's is Supervisor Erler's office hours. Anything else, John?
That's it.
Supervisor Ekman.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, just a couple announcements. So like I said earlier to Fran tonight, our next community-wide ambulance meeting is this Thursday, June 27th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So if you do come, you will get home in time for the debate. I guarantee it. We're cutting the meeting off at 8 o'clock. That's it. Everybody's getting thrown out, so you get home for the debate. Chief Potter, anything you want to say about Thursday's upcoming meeting? Okay, thank you, Chief. And Chief Potter is leading up this effort. Wanted to thank the Park and Rec Committee for the first responders picnic that you held on. My time's up. That's the end of the meeting. Good night, everyone. Now, I wanted to thank you for the Park and Rec Committee for the picnic that you held for all the first responders. I thought it was a success, a good turnout, and thank you guys for doing that. We had the Trucks on Local Roads presentation on June 18th. Went from 6 p.m. till about 8:30 p.m. And I think it was an informative meeting. I think they educated the township on certain things that we have to do in order to put an ordinance in place or restrictions in place. And Marvin Ta came and presented, and I thought he was an excellent presenter. We will bring him back for further education on how to deal with local truck issues. Charlie Hentz reached out to me, and he's offering to do a seminar on refuse to be a victim. I've attended it before. It's an excellent seminar on some proactive steps that you can take and measures you can take to help yourself not to become a victim of a crime. And we're going to have a date scheduled for that soon. It'll be at the Township Building. And I believe, let me just check, I don't believe there's a cost to it. I think the only thing is a $5 fee, and that's for the course booklet. So it's only $5. Otherwise, it's a free seminar. I encourage you to attend. We'll put the announcement up on the Township Facebook page. The other supervisors, we can all share it. And, yeah, let's bring Charlie in for that. And then we have to do another garbage weekend coming soon. So one of us will think about doing it in July. And it'll be on a Saturday, and it's for excess residential garbage that you want to bring down to the Township Building. And no, you cannot have a key, Ron. What's that? Oh, yeah. Thank you, David. And this Friday, we are opening the restrooms up at the Upper Mount Bethel Community Park. It'll be at 12 noon. The road crew is going to be there if any of the supervisors want to come. The Post Foundation will be there, the Park and Rec Committee. If you, Stavros, you want to send any representatives, please come as well. And we'll have hoagies and pizza, and it'll be at 12 noon. And then the restrooms are open. And Nick, any announcements you have?
None right now. You just took my thunder.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Cindy, any announcements? Stavros, any announcements? July 6th. Yeah, so Saturday, well, first let's say the 4th of July coming up on Thursday, July 4th, which is the 4th of July, we have the Portland Upper Mount Bethel Parade. It's the same route it's taken for the past 3 years. We'll post the parade route as well. If you want to be in the parade, if you have a tractor, motorcycle, slingshot, whatever, we're welcome to whatever. Just show up at the Portland Social Hall by 10:15 a.m. on the 4th of July, and you can be in the parade. And it starts at 11 a.m. and goes through town. And I'll be sure to post the route. And then on Saturday, July 6th, up at the Upper Mount Bethel Community Park, we have our annual fireworks show. And we're opening the park, I believe, now at 5 p.m., or are we opening it earlier? Okay, so it's currently 6 p.m., but we're going to move it up to 5 p.m. Park will be open for the fireworks. Fireworks go off at 9:15 p.m., and we'll have food trucks and drinks and dancing and music and singing, and Stavros is going to juggle, and it's just going to be an excellent all-around event. Okay, so Stavros will sing, and we'll get you up with the band. So come on out for that. It's a great event, and we're looking forward to that. Anything else? Sign up for Code Red. We have Code Red, and if you want any current updates or emergency situations, we have Code Red. Otherwise, that's it. Oh, yeah, thank you. David is definitely saving me a couple times tonight. So I was thinking, and I want to get the supervisor's thoughts on this, but I'd like to start moving our meetings during the summer months up at the community park, because our park is so beautiful. It's such a nice location. We have lights up there. Why not think about moving our meetings up to the community park? And if not every meeting, at least periodically while it's warm out.
I agree.
Can you stream there, Stavros?
Yeah.
What's that? We have internet up there, the system, we'll just have to turn it back on when it gets installed, so that covers the streaming. You just have to consider, I think, wind more than anything else. All right, well, let's give it a go. Let's see how it goes. We'll hold it on the slide, on the playground. We'll all
in the
climb.
brand new bathrooms.
Oh, there you go.
As long as they're clean.
So let's try our July 8th meeting up at the community park. Weather permitting. And if it's going to rain or anything, we'll have it here in the garage.
So you need to turn the internet back on?
We're gonna need it up to July 4th anyway. But depending on when the civilian, that's what we're waiting on.
Can we still put is the dish installed?
The dish can sit on the lawn. That will have to get turned on for July 4th.
All right.
So it'll be on for the 8th, because we have to turn it on a month.
You have control of that, right? All right.
All right, so as of now, our July 8th meeting will be up at our Upper Mount Bethel Community Park. Yes. Yes, you can. Ron, you'll buy a slushie, won't you? Yeah, see, there you go. You've already sold one. So, yeah, we'll have slushies, maybe some popcorn. We'll figure it out. We're going to I'd like to thank Denise Sparta for this wonderful idea to have our meetings up at the park. It was not my idea, but it's a great idea. So thank you, Denise, and we'll see you there July 8th.
Well, Mr. Albert brought up a point. Do we have to advertise this change of venue?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. With that being said, is there a motion to adjourn, or do you want to talk some more?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Have a good night.